Do you use Priestess?
What if I told you all you knew was an illusion, confusion or true? They say the pages of history are written by those who claim victory, controlling minds for 2,000 years, kept us in line by stoking our fears. No longer will we hide who we are. We're stronger together by far. We are witches, we shall rise from the earth into the skies. Unite.
Hello, sis. You're muted.
Good afternoon. I hope everybody's having a really good day today. I hope the storms kind of keep away. We've been having a lot of them. So,
Hopefully
however,
everybody's surviving the heat wave.
yeah,
That
it's
too.
it's been hot as well.
Yeah.
I know in the Midwest.
It was
And-
112 yesterday.
It says you in Arizona, so it's a wonder you don't melt.
Yeah.
You really call it
Yeah, no
Arizona?
kidding. It was let's see, Friday was 115 or 117, but Saturday was 115, Sunday was 105. Yeah, I don't know what today is. I don't even want to look. It's just disgustingly hot.
Well, everybody, welcome to Within the Cauldron. And who is this beautiful lady down by you, Nick? Who is that?
This is Lilith Dorsey, and they hail from many magic traditions, from Afro-Caribbean, Celtic, and Indigenous American spiritualities. They have an educational background focused on plant science and anthropology, as well as film, from the U.R.I. and the N.Y.U, as well as the University of London. And their magical training includes numerous initiations, including Santeria, Haitian Vodoun, New Orleans Voodoo. Lilith Dorsey, is a Voodoo Priestess who's been doing successful magic since 1991 for patrons. Is a publisher of Oshun-African Magickal Quarterly. Is a filmmaker of the experimental documentary Bodies of Water, Voodoo Identity and Transformation, and choreographer and performer for legend Dr. John's Night Tripper and Voodoo Show.
That's really cool.
Wow.
Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
We're
Oh,
honored to
it's
have
been-
you
it's
on. Thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
So Nick, you want to start out with the first question, hon?
Sure. For our audience and for the people that may not know, could you tell us the difference between the practices of hoodoo, voodoo, and voodoo?
Oh, okay. I think people get a little confused sometimes, so thank you for asking me to start with that. Hoodoo's basically, I think for anybody who's not used to it, it would probably be familiar to some of the folk magic traditions. It's very hands-on. It's very direct teacher to student.
Yep.
There is now people are trying to sort of turn it into an initiatory tradition, but it was really more like you would go to the older practitioner in your town or whatever, and you would learn directly from them really practical things like, oh, I don't like my neighbor. I'm going to take the broom, turn it upside down, stick a fork in it, and then my neighbor will move. That's my freebie hoodoo spell for everybody.
Thank you. I'm going to use that because I don't like my neighbor.
Yeah, see, it happens. A lot of us don't like our neighbors. But it was all practical things like that, usually for stuff that people had hands on because it was a tradition created by enslaved people. So, enslaved people here in the US, they weren't allowed to read or write or anything. Very often, if they were allowed a book, it was the Bible. So it does incorporate lots of Psalms and saints into things, which you can either take as sort of a blend of Christianity or just using what they had. Because a lot of times when you say these psalms out loud, it sort of magically changes the space around it. So they found that, oh, if I say this 23rd psalm when it's dark and I'm walking home in the middle of the night, I'm protected, right? Like it's,
Mm-hmm.
you can
Mm-hmm.
attribute it to whatever you want to
Yeah.
attribute it to, but it worked. And Hoodoo's really based on those like practical solutions that
Yep.
work.
Mm.
New Orleans Voodoo is kind of a blend. We have, well, we've had 300,000 people in the city for the past 200 years. And most of them came, that population rose, it tripled, I think, right after the Haitian Revolution. So there was a huge influx of Haitian people after the Haitian Revolution in the late 1700s. So basically, there's a lot of hoodoo stuff, but we also have a lot of, you know, Latinx people here. So there's a
Mm.
lot of blending of other Afro-Caribbean traditions and South
Mm-hmm.
American, Brazilian traditions and things like that. So I like to call New Orleans voodoo more of a spiritual gumbo. There's certainly houses here that practice traditional Haitian voodoo. There's houses, we were talking before about Priestess Miriam at the Voodoo Spiritual Temple. They've been there for over 30 years. I'm a member of that temple. And when I first started about 25 years ago, there were three temple drummers. One was a Thelemite, and the other two were Santeros from the Lucumi tradition. So you
Mm-hmm.
can see why there's other things that were sort of brought to the table in the
Yep.
practices that we
Mm.
have there. And Haitian Vodou is a religion that it started pretty much as a family tradition. So you would get initiated into the line of spirits that belong to your family. You would have
Mm.
feast days, you'd have initiations, you'd have special workings that you did for your family spirits. And now that we're sort of a global society, a lot of that has sort of changed, and a lot of people still follow that tradition, but it's less about the stuff they were taught from their families, especially with the history
Mm.
in Haiti of some of the suppression of some of these religions, that it's more of a broad spectrum kind of worshiping that they do. But that's the short answer. But legit, I could, you know, go into the differences for 2 or 3 hours and still
Yes.
not only scratch the surface.
Oh yeah, it's a whole loaded question.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads
That
us
is.
into our next one. So they're along with people confusing those, they often also confuse those practices with witchcraft. How is that different from witchcraft?
Well, first of all, I think I would like to. There's a couple of base things. We have a concept called Ashe, which is like a
Mm.
sacred energy of all things, which I think most people would be familiar with, you know, some of the Eastern concepts of chi, that there's sort of a universal life energy to things. And that's what Ashe is. It's a universal life energy of things.
It's
And
a
Oh, yeah.
therefore, when we're honoring something, what we honor is the Ashe of that. So we could have what other people would call a deity, like you mentioned, Oshun. Oshun is the Ashe of the river. So she is simultaneously divine being. She's also every individual that's initiated to her. And then she's also the river. So wherever you have river water, you have her there. So I
mm,
think that's different than witchcraft, where you might be honoring a particular god or goddess and they sort of own this domain, but they're not the
Right.
yeah,
same thing as this domain. And for us, it's the same thing as this domain. So
yes.
that's the first part of it. And I think the second part is really that it's all about finding your proper path. So it's about, you know, not everybody's destined to become king or queen or a rock star or something like that.
Mm.
But there is a right place in the universe where you can be the most successful. So it's about working with that, finding that, sort of leaning into that so you can be the
Mm.
most successful person you can be, which to me seems different than witchcraft. And then,
Yes.
especially in Africa, there's sort of a taboo against witches. We've got
Mm.
a lot of mythology and things like that where the witch still has a lot of negative connotations as
Mm.
the person who's causing trouble or outside society or something like that.
Mm.
So when I speak to African people, I have to make a distinction that, yes, the practices here, a lot of people think are similar to witchcraft because we light candles or we make
Mm.
oils or something like that. But we're not talking about witches that are, you know,
Yeah,
biting
it's a
the
different
heads off
connotation.
of, you
Mm.
know, whatever and doing
I found
negative
that too.
things.
is that at least here in America, like it has a totally different connotation than other countries, and interacting with people from all over the world. Like they're like, you call yourself a witch, and I was like, yes, but this then paints a tapestry for them that I'm doing like crazy malefic work,
Yes.
and I'm like, I mean, sometimes, but not just that.
Yeah, I mean, I think voodoo gets a lot of that too, right? Like
Mm,
there's a
they
lot
do.
of negative Hollywood stereotypes and stuff that are
So
going
many
on
pop
about
culture
voodoo.
problems.
So when you say that, people again think you're doing a lot of negative magic. But when you think about the fact that it's a system of enslaved people, colonized people,
Mm,
these people were getting raped and beaten and killed and their children
yeah,
stolen. So obviously we have spell work to protect us and
yeah,
to sort of fight back against those
mm,
evil atrocities. So
yes,
for me, it's not really negative. It's more about, yes, we have tools to fight back when everything
mm,
was taken from us.
yep.
Right.
They developed
Which
out
Protect.
we
of systems where they couldn't have protection or authority or even agency.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
when the system won't protect you and won't support you, you develop your own. And that's
Right.
exactly, yep. And let's see, our next question is, what were your first experiences that you had when you were younger that may have gotten you started in your path?
Well, my parents named me Lilith. I blame that for them. I think my mother's probably watching. She always wants to know what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing, Mom. So, yeah, I think, you name your kid Lilith. I've met other people named Lilith. They say it comes with a whole bunch of baggage. I would agree. So
Mm,
just, it's people are like, oh, I've never heard that name. I'm like, well, it's probably the oldest name there is. She's what? She goes back 6 or 8,000 years, depending on who you ask,
yeah.
right? So that sort of always influenced me. And then I had aunt that I grew up with. We lived in the same house that had a lot of struggles with mental illness. And I think in some cases it was that she was having struggles with mental illness, but in other cases, I think a lot of shamanic traditions get mixed up with mental illness, right?
Hmm.
Traditionally. So a lot of times I think she was having those clarity moments. And I remember as a kid, she would walk into the living room and be like channeling Marie Laveau, and she had a beautiful voice. She used to sing with Bob Dylan, and she would sing the Marie Laveau song at me. And I'm 2 years old, and I'd be listening to this song about Marie Laveau and New Orleans, and I'm like, that sounds really cool. I like that. I want to go there when I get big, right? So
Aw.
I think that was just sort of the beginning. And also I'm of a certain age, quote unquote, right? Like, so I grew up watching the TV witches that weren't bad and the TV magic that
Hmm.
was, I mean,
Yeah.
compared to some of those things, right? Like we had Bewitched, the housewife, right? She would just twink her nose and then the
Hmm.
dishes would be done, right? Like, so that sounded great to me because
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I've
sounds
never
exactly.
had a
Hmm.
dishwasher that worked. I am the dishwasher. So
Yeah.
even when I was a kid, I was like, wait a minute, I can do some kind of spell and the house will be clean and like,
Hmm.
I can have a pretty dress and I don't got to worry about like all of those things. So all of that stuff totally
yeah.
fascinated me.
Yeah.
So I remember doing spells in the sink. Kids don't try this at home. I had little matches and I was doing incantations and stuff, right? Like, what are you doing in there? Magic, shut up, like that kind of a thing. So yeah, it
I,
just sort of grew out of that, I think. And plus, I
yeah.
had a lot of early childhood trauma. So when I meet people who had a
Mm.
lot of early childhood
The
trauma, I
reclamatory.
think
Hmm.
yeah, I think it sort of shapes your brain in a different way. You have to be able to see around corners because, whatever is around the corner might not be safe. So you just sort of develop those
Hmm.
Right.
spidey
Yeah.
senses to keep
You're a
yourself
little bit more
alive.
like hyper aware,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
hyper aware of
Definitely.
everything.
Yeah.
Sis, do you have the next question?
I do. So, what does an initiation entail in voodoo, assuming, the path is in initiations?
Um, it's a lot. Like, I mean, each house is different. I think that, you know, we were talking a little bit before we started about trad witchcraft, you know, like I think in a lot of trad witchcraft, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the initiations, even between, if you're in the same tradition, the initiations look similar, not necessarily exactly the same, but like if you were from a different group, you would
Yeah.
still be able to recognize it. Whereas this, each house is autonomous. So there are certain things that are a given, but most of the time it could look completely and totally different,
Mm.
you know. So it is based primarily among the elements. One of the first things that we do, and no matter what African traditional religion, one of the first things you're going to do is something, I mean, in Lucumi, it would be called a rogation. In Haitian Voodoo, it would be a lave tete, and I
Mm-hmm.
suppose it's similar to a baptism, right? Like, so it's a water blessing and cleansing, and that's your first step into the tradition where you're
Mm.
recognized in the religion. So that would be the first thing. But then there's lots of different ones. There's fire ones. There's ones. They
Mm-hmm.
all seem to involve sleeping, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Some of them involve sleeping for a long time, right? Like there's sometimes where you have to sleep for like a week and you don't move, and people sort of attend to you and bring you food and, you know, bring you a pan to go to the bathroom in and stuff like that. There's initiations like that. But yeah, each one is different, you know, and they don't end either, which before I got into the tradition, I was like, oh, okay, you do 1, 2, 3 initiations and then you're done. No, there's always another one. It could be like, well, this year we're going to be, you know, vulnerable to these energies. So we all have to get this initiation, or we all have to get this thing. And then we bring it in and everybody gets the thing, and hopefully they're safe from whatever the dangers were. But
Mm-hmm.
it is kind of
More like a
ongoing.
continuing education in a sense, almost too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is, you know, and it really is based on, there's no self-initiation. Somebody told me yesterday they got a reading from someone who's like, yeah, you can self-initiate. And I was like, no, it's not like that. Because part of it, I think, is being in the group setting. So it's like a family in the sense of, okay, maybe I have this problem with housing. My god brother or god sister has this problem with love. Like we can work together and find out what the solutions are for that. We're
Yeah.
stronger together,
Mm. Yeah.
right? Like, so
That's
that
right.
way you're working together. You don't necessarily have to go through it all yourself. You're going through it or by yourself. So it's like you're going through it as a group and you're all helping each other as a group. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like families, sometimes you don't all get along, but you're all like, you're in it. You're just in it.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Yeah.
Exactly.
I definitely agree with that, because having a coven for about 30 years, well, a bit over 30 years, I really agree with that, because I have a lot of people, when I used to do pagan pride and everything, you know, come up to me and they kind of give you like, I know all this knowledge. I self-initiated myself, you know, and everything. So they kind of come off like they know more than you do. And they're really strong about it. And, you know, you just kind of got to step back and like,
But do you know what's kind of
okay.
funny? As a little girl, I was whispering the answers in their ears. Like, I got you.
Yeah, she made everybody cheated.
Everybody would get mad at me because I would know the answers. I'm like, a lot of people don't understand also when you're like brought up in a coven and that family, you know, base, you know, they are always trading knowledge with you. You're always growing your knowledge and everything. And I'm just like, sometimes that's all, like someone for me, that's all I know, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
they can get mad.
Next question,
Yeah.
Seth.
So some people think voodoo is evil, and you kind of touched on it a little bit here, but you know, how do you explain it to others that it isn't?
Yeah, I mean, I think I did touch on it a little bit, that it was a system of sort of resistance. You know, I've been teaching
Mm.
a hoodoo as resistance class lately. So I think there's a way in which the magic really is rooted in resistance. And certainly my practices are rooted in resistance and racial and social justice for everybody. So that, I think, again, gets us a kind of a bad reputation. But I think the first thing I would ask people, if they thought it was evil, who told you it was evil, right?
Right.
Like that's
Mm-hmm.
well, let's go there,
Right.
right? Like is it Hollywood? Well, we don't know Hollywood is wrong. Like why
Right.
it says it on the box, right? This is
Right.
fiction, you
Exactly.
know, that you bought a ticket, you're in the dark, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's where we're at, you know. And even though they're a tiny bit better now, they're still not fantastic about getting anything about these traditions right. You know,
Right.
they want
No.
it to be a horror movie. I was just watching
Mhm.
the new HBO Cape Fear, which is all about Santeria Lucumi and how they're like, you know, killing people with the sacred statues and stuff. And I'm like, who did they hire to consult about this?
Yeah,
Like, you know,
really.
That's the problem.
and
They
I
don't
know.
consult anymore. They don't.
No, it's terrible. I mean, my friend Yvonne Chirot was the consultant for Sinners. So I think, you know,
Mhm.
Sinners got a lot. And she
They did do a
was,
lot good. Yeah.
yeah, she retired now, but she was a professor at Swarthmore for a really long time. So I
Mhm.
think they got a lot of good things right. And they listened to her and they gave her the leeway to put those right kind of things in
Mm.
the film, right?
Mhm.
So, but I think that it just is it's set up to protect themselves. I mean, even
Yep.
now we look at people of color and they have a lot of challenges, you know,
Right.
out there. We're still
Mhm.
looking at people getting lynched and everything like that. So having those kinds of strong magic to protect you is necessary. I'm not going to
Mm.
lie about it, you know,
Right.
like,
Right.
and the other thing I say to these people is like, if somebody came up and punched you in the face, would you just stand there? You know,
Right.
that's what I say to all the white light witches. What would you, you know, hold up a crystal? Like, no, if I had a crystal, I would probably punch them in the face with the crystal if you
Right.
hit me first, right? Like, that's where I'm
Mhm.
from, New York originally. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
yeah. If you're going to start some, there's going to be some.
You
So
know,
let's go.
Nico and
Yeah.
I are on TikTok, and we have have the same argument with people who only
Oh yeah,
like
it's great.
witches and they
They're
only
like, you
only
can't
butterflies
curse
and rainbows.
people.
But I'm like, I have a
Okay.
right to defend myself against someone who's
Yeah.
trying to do harm to me or my children.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah,
they
Well,
use magic towards me, they're also hurting my children.
of
Yeah.
course.
yeah. And for me in Treadcraft, like we have charges to do twice the harm that's done to us. And we don't operate in like a cosmic justice system. Like karma doesn't exist. You are the judge, jury, and executioner. And like it's built upon partially by a folk magic system, so very similar where it's built upon the oppression of people. And so there's when the law fails, like you have things you can do about it. And I have no issue doing them if I have to. But I'm a spicy short man. I got hands rated E for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of those people, they would, if confronted with actual, you know, violence or pain or harm to
Yeah.
their kids, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
they would
Yeah.
retaliate. So why
Right.
am I supposed to sit here and just be like, ho hum, it's
And
fine,
take it.
you
Yeah.
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Let's just like
Exactly.
let them harm me, you know? No.
No.
Because we kind of touch base on Hollywood.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, we know kind of like classifies everything because they want to make the money. They want to make everything interesting. Um, is there anything that in the movies or TV shows that you can tell us that somebody can watch and it's very close to what their practice is?
I really like Eve's Bayou, you know, and when you
Mm.
look at a lot of people in the traditions, they always are like, oh, yeah, Eve's Bayou, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, directed by Cassie Lemons, who, if you don't know, she's in Silence of the Lambs. I know you said you also do a lot of paranormal stuff, and she's
Mhm.
in Silence of the Lambs
Yeah.
as the black FBI agent who's friends with Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, so that was the first Hollywood film directed by a black woman. So, but for me, it really has a lot of the feel of the Louisiana hoodoo practices and things like that. I'm not going to give anything away, but it does also have that perfect magic lesson. Be careful what you wish for, you know,
Mm.
and I think that's sort of magic 101 to me. You know, I have so many clients. Oh, I want this. I want this. I want this. And I'm like, are you sure? You know, like, do you want your ex back if your ex is going to be mean and nasty or cheating
Right.
or lying or all of those things? You know, you can have him back, but are you sure that's what you want? You might have more problems after
Right.
that, you know?
Is that truly
So
your heart's desire?
Oh yeah, they
yeah,
don't understand that obsession works often snowball. They ask all the time. Like, make
Yeah.
this man come back and love me. And it's like, girl, you left for a reason in the first place. You really don't want him back.
Sure.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't. They don't at
I
all.
always
They
say
don't
people
at
be
all.
careful what they wish
You know.
for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Exactly.
a movie out called Sinners. It was nominated last year. I think it won some awards. Well, it was this year, I guess. Um, and I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But somebody said
Watch
that
it.
Sinners
It's
is
interesting.
also close to the practice. So, have you ever seen that movie yet, or do you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
anything
that's
about
what I was
that?
just talking
Yeah.
about with my
Mm.
Yeah.
friend Yvonne Chirot. She was the consultant on that.
Oh,
And
okay. Okay.
it was funny because I had, she was here in New Orleans for a conference, and I actually had brunch with her before it came out. So she was talking to me about all the experiences of working with Ryan Coogler and everything like that. And it was
Mhm.
very entertaining. And I was really, really happy with it and what it looked like and the whole thing. I mean, there's everything in that movie,
Yeah.
right? Like, but
Mm.
the scene that I think really struck home for me was that scene where they're dancing and it's them in the present and the ancestors in the
Mm.
past and the children of the future. And I think
Yep.
we've all in one way or another had those moments of like, wait a
Mm.
minute, like this is three different times all wrapped up into one. And if I look just
Mhm.
right or I spin around just right, I can catch a glimpse
Mhm.
of the future children and the ancestors of the past here with
Mm.
me in this moment, supporting me and sort of championing everything that it is that we're doing. And I just love that moment, right? Like, because that's where we go together. Oh, someone said, is it a vampire movie? There's vampires in it.
Well, that's
Oh,
even
I'm
complicated.
definitely watching it
Yes,
then.
but no.
yeah.
They're
Yes, but no.
technically,
The Irish is in it. No, no.
yeah, they're
Yes.
technically like a type of blood-sucking fae, but
Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, sure.
Uh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Too
now,
funny. Too funny.
I have heard and what I have read that Native American and Voodoo almost has the same similarities. Now, would you say that would be true or false?
I mean, I think there's a lot of Indigenous American sort of thought systems that are the same to the
Mm.
African thought ways of thinking. And what do I mean by that? This sort of concept of ownership and capitalism, like those are definitely New World colonial kind of ideas,
Mm.
right? The reason that all the land and all the resources was stolen from Indigenous Americans and Africans was because they didn't think that anybody owned them. So to have
Right.
this kind of colonizers coming in and saying, we own this land, we own this water, we own these resources, we didn't even think that anybody could own them. So the fact that they came in and decided that we have more power over you and we can own these things is why we're in trouble now, really. So I think that that's similar. So there's definitely a respect for the land, a respect for the elements, and an honoring of the ancestors and remembering of the ancestors. All of that is very similar.
Mm.
But it's similar. I mean, I think it would be similar to any indigenous society, really, right? Like, I like
Yeah.
watching, I'm watching it now. I like watching Life Below Zero, where they have all these indigenous people in the Arctic trying to survive.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
whenever they, go hunting, they have to honor the ancestors and the spirit of the animal. Like that's
Yep.
something that,
Mm.
is very familiar to me. I've worked a lot
Oh,
with Indigenous Australians, which don't like to be called Aboriginal people, black fellas. They also have similar beliefs about honoring the land and the
Mm.
ancestors and
Yeah.
sort of a spirit realm that you have to live in harmony with, as opposed to trying to stamp it out or
mhm.
make fun of
Right.
anybody who understands it.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Amy, do you
Okay.
have something?
Okay. Is voodoo a religion for audience people who don't know?
Yeah, I mean, people get so mad at me for calling it a religion, but I think it's a religion. I feel like religion gives it props, right? Like it's
Yeah.
certainly also a tradition that's been carried out for a very long time, but
Mm.
I think it is a religion in the sense
Yep.
that we have rules and we have things that we honor. We have ways of doing things, so I think
Mm.
that's just another way to sort of demonize us and claim that we're godless savages, to say that we're not a
Mhm.
Yeah.
religion, because I
Mm.
think it is a religion.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
so Colleen, do you have something to say?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, how would you protect yourself against spirits?
Oh, okay. So that's a good question. Usually you see in all the different African traditional religions, you see people wearing white clothes and a white head covering. That is to sort of, I mean, there's different myths that go behind it, but the short answer to that question is that's to keep yourself clean and pure and, you know, your head's covered or to stop spirits from going in and out there. We also do a thing where we put Florida water or cascarilla, which is powdered eggshell, on the back of our necks, which is where we say spirits go in and out of the body. So we usually do that. I've also seen people put cascarilla like just in an equal, like, you know, an equal arm cross. They'll draw the chalk
Mhm.
with the equal arm cross on their elbows and their feet so that whatever they touch with their hands or their arms is protected or
Mhm.
wherever they walk is protected. So those are two things that we would do. And then I'm back to don't start none, won't be none. You know, I have some
Mhm.
godsons and they invited someone over to play D&D and they're like, he summoned the devil in the living room. And I was like, who is this mofo and why did you let him in the house? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
this is not like, you know, okay, let's just summon some demons, you know, like,
Right.
no, that's a horrible idea. Why would you do that? You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
like,
Well,
don't do that.
don't
Come
open a
on.
door you don't know how to
Well,
close.
That's
Don't
yeah.
right.
I
do it.
mean, the same
Exactly.
deal. If there was some, you know, my neighborhood's a little rough. There's some people out there that I would
Mhm.
not just invite into the living room and not
Right.
expect
Hell no.
trouble. So, you know, I try not to invite them in and hopefully but I do a lot of protection things anyway. There's a lot of hoodoo protection things I do.
Mhm.
You know, we do red brick dust on the windows, sills, and the threshold. I do a lot of witchcraft things too for protection as well. You know,
Mhm.
you can probably see there's mirrors facing out on the window behind me, things like that. You know,
Mhm.
just I cover all the bases. I feel like sometimes negative energy is like cockroaches, right? Like you
It
can't just
is.
use the
Mhm.
same thing, you got to change it up. So if you've been using the
Yeah.
same protection thing, you know, for the past 5 years, please, by all means, change it up and use something
Yeah,
else for protection.
and layer your protections.
Yeah.
If you have one protection, you have no protection.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Very
And
much
I like
agree.
to mix it up where it's not just stuff that I'm doing. So like if I'm in my
Mhm.
friend's magic shop, I get their protection thing and use that or whatever. I like to use other
Mhm.
practitioners' things too.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm always like asking Nico, I'm like, so tell me some new things that you learned just to, intertwine with
Mhm.
mine. Or I will
Yeah.
ask other stuff too, because I feel like you're constantly learning.
But
Even
she
if
never
I
asked me. She never asked me.
no, I don't. It's okay, Mom. Okay,
That's great.
so the next question. How do you think of okay, what do you think about baneful magic and witchcraft and voodoo paths?
Oh, I mean, if it's necessary, it's necessary, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm not automatically against it just on principle. Like the same way that if, you know, somebody said they were attacked in the street and they fought back, I wouldn't be like, oh, don't do that. You know,
Right.
just lie there and get attacked. No, I mean, you know, do what you got to do, you know?
Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't have anything against it. But that said, I know quite a few practitioners. Some are no longer with us. And, you know, we can all speculate as to why that
Yeah.
would focus so much on baneful magic and messing people up
Mhm.
with magic. And, like, you know, the first line of resistance was to go do some sort of huge, like, you know, get my enemies
Mhm.
spell and stuff. And I think that I don't know how they function like that, legit. Like I've had people do some
Yeah.
really horrible things to me, but if I was doing that all the time, it would just consume me with such
Yeah.
I'd be in a
Mhm.
worse shape than they are. And they're always in the worst of shape, or they wouldn't be obsessed and you know,
Yeah.
convinced that they were trying to take everybody down. It's just disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like I think when it's necessary. But if that's your whole spiel and your whole shtick, I'm like, I'm not about that life. No.
Mhm.
Agree. Nick, I guess we're back to you.
Let's see. So that brings us to. Ooh. Okay. I love that this is my question. So could you talk to us a bit about the use of animal components in ritual? Is it something that is actually done or not?
Again, like I said, every house is
They'll
different,
be
you
different.
know. My house here, we don't do it, but then sometimes things will happen where I feel like the universe has done it for me, right? Like, you know,
Mm.
I'll have
Yeah.
a cat that leaves a mouse in front of my statuary or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, look at this, you know. And
Yeah.
there are things we use to substitute for blood. One of the things we use is red palm oil from West
Mm-hmm.
Africa. So I'll use that as a substitute for blood sometimes and things like that. But yes, my own house that I run, we don't do it, but in other, but we don't really ask for anything huge either. I mean, I
Yeah.
suppose we'll cross that Rubicon when it comes to it. But, you know, if I was trying to heal someone from a terminal disease, I probably would call somebody who would use some kind of animal magic or something like that
Mm.
if I felt like it was called for in that situation. But yes, we do use animals. Almost
Mm.
all the houses that I've been in use
Yep.
animal sacrifice. And there's two things I think you have to remember. The first one is that you have to be willing to die for this. If
Mm.
so, it's like you enter into a, excuse me, a battle of wills with the animal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one of us is coming out alive, and a lot of times people will just sort of spontaneously drop dead in the middle of a ritual. And I kind of think that's why, because you're saying, whatever this is, I'm doing it in order to, you know,
Mm.
this is important enough for me that, you know, I'd be willing to give my life for it. But let me see if I'm stronger than this animal here.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's smaller animals. If it's something like a terminal disease, you don't eat that meat. But there are things where if it's just for a regular cleansing or a feast day,
Mm.
the animals are sacrificed, the meat is cooked, and it's either eaten by the community that's there, or they pack it all up and drive it to a shelter or a food charity or something like that.
Mm-mm.
So a lot of time it is eaten.
Yes.
um the other, I had somebody yell at me once at an event, and they were complaining about it, and they had leather shoes on, and I was like, well, where do you think you got your leather shoes? You know, I mean, I think most
Mm-hmm.
of these people raising these arguments, it doesn't have anything to do with the animal for them, and they're perfectly, they wouldn't be hassling me because, you know, I ate a cheeseburger, but they're hassling me because I might use an animal sacrifice in my religion. And for me, that means they really don't believe it, right? Like if they
Yeah.
went to the doctor and the doctor said, you need a chicken gizzard in order to cure this, you know, horrible illness you have, they'd
Mm.
take the chicken gizzard pill, or they'd take whatever animal. We don't even know where most of our pills come from. So, but they would take whatever pill they were given. Doesn't matter if it came from an animal or not. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, you're trusting Western medicine, but you're not trusting spiritual medicine to take care of this situation
Yeah.
that's happening right here, you know. And if it was your loved one and it was really serious, you'd probably give them the animal medicine. So this is
Mm.
where our brain is going for, this is something that's really serious, and this is something that we do, you know.
Mm. And there's also a misconception that like these animals are treated cruelly. That's like one of the biggest taboos. You have to honor that animal in like the most respectful ways. That animal lives like a king or queen
Oh, sure,
beforehand, and it's
definitely.
given like mercy. So it's not like people. I've heard crazy stories where people are like, you know, you got to do these horrific things, and it's like, no, like I was a farm kid. It's literally like I use animals in my practice. I have no issue stating that, but it is there's very strict protocol, just the same where it's like this animal is given the best life. It is like done humanely, quickly, and then as long as it's not to a chthonic spirit or for a transference, the whole animal's used. So
Yeah.
we'll eat the animal, and so like I don't do anything that I wouldn't eat. And I mean, there's a lot of practices that do use animals, and I don't think there's necessarily anything intrinsically wrong with it if you do or don't. Because there's veganized practices too, if you're not comfortable with that. There's substitutions.
Sure, you don't have to do it. One of my godkids, she grew up. on a commune, and she's in my class, and she raises her hand, and she's like, well, if you're killing an animal, is it okay to offer it up to the spirits? And I thought she was insane, because we were in the middle of New York City. I thought she was killing, animals out in the street, and I was like, what are you talking about? But then she's like, no, I lived on a commune for years, and if we had to kill the animal anyway, I might as well
Yeah.
use it as part of the practices, although it doesn't work like that. But after that, I realized she wasn't out of her mind, and she's still my goddaughter. We're all good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Next question, kind of in a similar thing. Are other animal components used, like skulls, bones, in rituals?
Yeah, and I think that's probably different than native
People are more
indigenous
okay with that.
U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of thing. We do use them, especially more in hoodoo and New Orleans voodoo practices. I think that there's a lot of that goes on, although there is also, tale of things being used in Haitian Voodoo as well. You never know with these things, whether or not it's rumor or whatever, but that so yeah, we do use them for different things, right? Like, I mean, back to 101, raccoon penis bone, right? Like, for those of you who don't know, raccoons have a bone in their penis, and you use it for, sexual prowess and fertility magic and things like that, right? Like, so that's oh, look, you got one.
I do. Hold on. I read bones. Bear with me. I gotta figure out. Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Raccoon,
Yep.
sea
Yes,
otter,
yeah, there you go.
fucking
Yes.
fox ribs, feet,
Yeah, see, there we go.
chicken bones.
Okay, right on. Yeah. So yes, we use those a lot. Definitely. I've got chicken feet hanging up all around my community garden so people don't steal.
Same
So,
here.
yeah. So I mean, they still steal, but whatever. It's fine. They steal less, I tell you.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
It's great.
Sis, it's in your court.
Okay, vampires in New Orleans. I'm sure there are some. So are they?
Sure, there's vampires in New Orleans, and there's fake people pretending to be vampires in New Orleans, and there's people capitalizing on vampires in New Orleans, and we got everything here. Small town, but we got everything. Yeah. I mean, I think there's the people that cosplay as vampires. There's people that really do blood rites that are kind of dark. There's everything in between. So yeah. I mean, I was fortunate enough to attend with the two biggest vampire balls we have here is Endless Night and the Anne Rice Ball. So I was fortunate enough to attend both of those as a special guest / emissary. So that was a lot of fun. I was at the Anne Rice Ball last year with Christopher Rice
Cool.
and son.
I'm jealous.
Oh, it was
I'm jealous
wonderful. It
too.
was fantastic. It really was. Everybody was dressed exquisitely. It was free absinthe. It was great.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
No, it was a lot of fun. I had a good night.
Oh,
Well,
great.
what can you say about the afterlife?
Well, I mean, most of the African traditional religions, we have a thing where you get you'll like this because you're all family. You get reincarnated back into your family line. So, like, as some people are familiar with the drummer Baba Tunde Olatunji. Baba means father and Tunde means return. So he's father returns. So when a new child is born, like if you see the spirit of an ancestor in them, you name them after that, right? And a lot of people still do that in the West, right? Like, my sister's name is Alice, and everybody goes up to her, was that your grandmother's name? And she's like, it was my great grandmother's name, right? Like, so people still do that. And that, I think, is just, it makes sense to me. I mean, I've been around a lot of children, my own, and I worked as a nanny for years. And those are like my babies too, And definitely you can see, even in some small children, you can see the shadow of somebody who's been here before. And it's just such a beautiful thing. It makes the loss of the people who aren't here anymore, like, sort of have a little teeny bit of bittersweet smile moving
Right.
forward, right? Like, okay, I was talking about my daughter. My daughter is a redhead. She was born 9 months after my grandmother died, who was also a redhead. Everybody looked at me and went like, I said, I'm going to have a baby with red hair and green eyes. And they're like, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Just you wait and see. And she does indeed have red hair and green eyes. So, I think that that's definitely a thing, and again, anybody who's been close to anybody who passed, you can see their spirit still around, even if it's not in a new body. Maybe you can see it, when a butterfly comes by, or you can see
Right.
it, when a song comes on the radio. Like, I definitely think that it's not cut and dried, right? When someone's
Right.
gone, they're not gone. And
Right.
I think that
Exactly.
all of the voodoo and all of those traditions really honor the ancestors every day, and think of our own selves as a living embodiment of,
Mhm.
continuing to honor and respect their spirit as we move forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, I'm a medium, so
Yeah.
not to quote the movie, but I see dead people and talk to them.
Yeah, they're still around, right? Like, I
Absolutely.
mean, and
Absolutely.
they come to different people in different ways. I have a godson. He's like, well, when I was initiated, I thought my dead grandma was going to come sit on the couch next to me. And I was like, well, I'm not so sure you want that. Number one. And she's already here with you. She's
Right.
there when you're making her favorite recipe for winter soup or
Exactly.
something. And she goes, you forgot this, right? Like, so she's
Exactly.
already there. It's just, they don't necessarily have the ability immediately to come back in the way that you think they should come back. Like,
Right.
that to me is wait a minute, remove yourself from the equation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Correct.
They're doing other stuff out there in the afterlife. It seems very busy from what I can tell, right? Like,
Right.
and they come back and help when they can or when they need to, but
Right.
it's work does not end when you
Mhm.
die.
That's true. Very true.
Mhm.
Well, the next question I have for you, um, Annabelle has been very in the news for the past year and everything. So, since you do live in New Orleans, when Annabelle was in New Orleans, do you really think that she had anything to do with the burning down the plantation and the prison break?
Um, yes. And it's not going to be a normal kind of answer, right? I mean, I think that originally she had some of, there was some sort of negativity, energy, something attached to that specific doll. But now everybody watching it, talking about it, it kind of makes this
Feather.
thought form of negativity, right? That we've
Right.
now created.
Mhm.
And it creates a space in the universe for these things to happen around it. So it makes it easier for a plantation to burn down, or easier for, well, it's New Orleans and I think they just walked out of the prison, but it makes it easier for people to just walk out of prison. And again, like, it just, because it's become this sort of negative egregore, or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it,
Yeah.
and it just makes these things easier for it. It's the same kind of, again, you said you talk about weird things on this show, like, Rupert Sheldrake had this sort of morphogenetic resonance theory that he wrote about, where once one human learns it, it's easier for all humans to learn it. So, but
Yeah.
there's also the kind of that principle operating here, that, like, oh, okay, we've made a little negativity thing. Now it
Right.
allows for all of our negativity to be channeled through this thing, and to give it that
Mhm.
much more power and make those
Yeah.
things easier to
Exactly.
happen.
I agree.
I
I
completely
totally agree.
That's what because we interviewed Lorraine Warren's grandson, Chris, and we talked a little bit about it too. And I think we all agreed that if you give Annabelle that power, and everybody believes that she has that power, then
Mm.
it's gonna
Letting
fly.
the people to suspend their
Exactly.
disbelief and feel an egregore can do some interesting things.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
That's well, she's in Salem as of this week, and we go to Salem, Massachusetts next month, but we will not be stopping in to say hi or anything.
I don't
No.
need
Okay.
I have a pass with haunted dolls, and I don't need to make friends with another doll.
With another doll,
You know?
so.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
paranormal. I don't need, no.
Yes.
And I have small children, so I don't need to, bring that energy home.
Yeah.
No.
So
No.
with, the female energies, you seem a very strong woman yourself. Okay. Now, do you think being a female helps you to be that strong, or do you think it really doesn't matter? Because a lot of women is just like, because the goddess, and they think, oh, it's all women and everything. And then of course, like my husband is like, no, I'm a man, I'm a witch, I can do the female and the male energies. But what is your take on that?
Um, well, I'm non-binary, so let's start there. But yeah, I think that anybody can access the divine feminine. I mean, we're all born of people that have those female parts, right? We all come out of some female parts. So that's what happens. And I think that, but there is a differences to it. I think again, just between how you interact with it and how you deal with it. I think that being a mom and carrying a child has something that gave me a greater understanding of the divine feminine, in the sense of like having something inside your body, having something good inside your body, since we're moving
Right.
away from the negative.
Yeah, exactly.
Having like something that's a part of you that you carry and protect, and all of those
Mhm.
kinds of things going on, gives you a different kind of connection to it than you do if you don't have that experience. But I don't think one's bad or wrong, or it's just different. It's just a different way of interacting with it, and I think that, it's just a different energy in general. I have a friend that's trans, and they told me when they stopped, taking estrogen and started taking testosterone, they didn't obsess on things anymore. Like somebody would do something to piss them off and they didn't care. But when they only had female hormones, they would be carrying a grudge forever and ever and ever. And I was like, that's really funny, right?
Yeah.
Like I never thought about it that way, but that it
We're like,
was like a hormonal
we're
trait
ready
that
to go
was.
to war.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really funny to me. I was like, oh, look at that. So I think it's a different way of interacting with them
Yeah.
just in general, I mean, and I meet a lot of traditional mask type of people that have more of a devotional worship kind of connection to the goddess, whereas a lot of, traditional female people see it as part of themselves or part of their connection to the great mothers, and this whole kind of line of sacred feminine.
I love that answer.
Do you have
Thank
some?
you.
Okay. So, can you tell us about the classes you do, and are they online, and where they can find your classes?
Oh, right on. Well, all my classes are listed on my website, which you put down there. Yay. And you mentioned Pagan Pride. I'm going to be at New Orleans Pagan Pride doing a hoodoo in the media and Hollywood kind of class at the end of September. In August, I'm going to, I think the registration ends any day now this week. Hurry up. I'm going to be in Connecticut doing 3 or 4 different classes. My tarot class, I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do one of my water magic classes, and then probably a voodoo class
Nice.
in Connecticut in the middle of August. So that's an amazing event. It's called Harvest Gathering. I've been going since they started, I think over 20 years ago. So that really is like family, and it's great. And then I'll be in New York doing a ritual and performance piece in the end of September, and that will be on my website soon. We're still working out the details for that. But yeah, just check my website for upcoming events. And if anybody's got a store, an online platform, they can just email me, and I'm happy to work with them to do something.
Nice.
Oh,
Very
that
cool.
is very, very cool.
That's
Yeah, I
amazing.
just read your book,
Oh,
Water
thank you.
Magic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, I have several of your books, but the last one, the most recent one I just read was Water Magic, and I really liked it. Of course, I like all your books that I have read so
Oh,
far.
thank you.
So,
Thank
but it
you.
was really great. And we do have Sean on tonight, Sean Wild. And I just got his book months ago about magical tools or magic without tools. Um, so yeah, I've been reading that as well. And I like how everything you have written is just, you can see the passion of it in your
Oh,
words and
thank
everything.
you.
I mean, you really can, and I like that. I really like that. But I do have a question now. I know you kind of mentioned earlier about the Voodoo Spiritual Center, and for the audience who doesn't really know, is that still open? Correct?
Yes, Priestess Miriam and the Voodoo Spiritual Temple, 1428 North Rampart Street, if anybody's here. But yes, she's open usually 6 days a week. Mondays have been touch and go lately, but she's she's usually there Monday to Saturday. But if you want a reading, you can book that. I mean, I do readings as well, obviously, phone readings and online readings and stuff. But yeah, she's been there for, she does everything over there. So yeah.
Cool. And that's located in New Orleans, correct? You said?
Yes, it's right on the edge of the French Quarter. Yep.
Okay. I'm so excited because I'm planning on taking a trip down there probably next year. I'm hoping
Oh,
to.
great.
So that's one place I would definitely go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right on. Well, let me know. We've got a private B&B for friends and family. So let me know if you need a spot. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I will.
Very, very cool.
Yes.
And this is in New Orleans.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
my sister's gonna come too. So
Oh, that's
Maybe
great.
you can live there.
yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
we
it.
might drag
Yay.
sis along too.
Absolutely. I was just going
Yay.
to say, I'm writing it down so I remember.
That's great. Yay.
Cities, especially
Mhm.
like New Orleans has a different type of energy, just like Salem
yeah.
and like a bunch of other places.
Mhm.
Like just
It does.
experience the culture. So
Right,
Yeah.
because I feel like, especially, I live in the Midwest.
Mhm.
There's not much culture here, so I like to go to other places and just
Yeah.
soak it up.
Phoenix,
and
Arizona.
find people, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's so different. I had a friend that just moved to the desert from here, and I was like, okay, so you're moving we're below sea level, right? So
Yeah.
we're literally underwater here. And I was like,
Yeah.
and he moved to like the driest place ever. He was back in about a month. He's back
Yeah.
now. So-
You know,
I'm in
it's-
Oregon, so
it
there's
breaks
not
this
much.
it breaks people. I mean, I'm a native of Arizona, and I'm telling you, I'm 56 years old, and I'm ready to move out of here. I mean, I keep looking at my husband, going, "How much longer do you want to work?" Because I really want to retire somewhere north where there's 4 seasons. Because we don't get 4 seasons. It is dry and it is hot, and you get olive green color, and that is it. You know.
But I'm
Wow.
telling you, from someone who's lived in the north for most of her life, the snow and ice and the below zero weather,
Yeah.
I found the perfect
want it.
place that gives me 4 seasons, just a little bit of snow, just a little bit of rain, a lot of sunshine. It's about an hour and a half north of here.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So I thought it.
No, I lived in New England. You open the door and it's just a wall of snow. Like I was like,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
nope.
I'm not wanting that in my old age. No.
No, no.
or you walk outside and your skin instantly starts hurting because it's so cold.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's okay. We'll pass on that.
Or Colleen, when your hair's wet in the winter, sometimes your hair will just instantly freeze.
It
Yeah.
freezes. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, that's all right.
No.
Well, Lilith, it has been a pleasure
Yeah.
speaking with you this past hour. Just stay behind once we close out. Everybody, please go over to her website.
Yeah, definitely.
Read her books. They're awesome.
They're incredible.
And jump over to Within the Cauldron and make sure you subscribe and share out, and of course like. And we would love to hear the comments too as well. And for everybody, we wish you very well and many blessings.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Good night.
Everybody.